introducing inclusionary processes or provisions to actually deal with new forms of social exclusion, if you can say it, because they're not really based on religion, they're not really based on age, they're not really based on caste, but because of the changes that the society is facing, maybe because of a combination of these factors. So it's not just India. When we look at global standards, there is a mandate created for the legal system all over the world now to understand exclusion, because it is leading to problems which the law is under an obligation to take care of, like violence, law and order, etc., etc. So to sum it up, understanding law and politics vis-a-vis social exclusion, I'd just like to conclude by saying that social exclusion is not just a high-ended objective that is to be taken care of by law. It's an operational concept today. There are parameters to understand exclusion from the traditional sense of the word, but also the new forms of exclusion. That is what most of the deliberations in the policy circles indicate. And we are definitely at that stage where we see visible changes in the frame of law, specific laws being created to deal with the new forms of exclusion. This being simply a more contemporary example. Thank you.
Much. And if there is no question to ask, then I can proceed to the next speaker. Any questions? Okay. Dr. Nidhi Sharma.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Nidhi Sharma from Department of Economics, the IS University, Jaipur. My presentation and the paper pertains to financial inclusion, and the question raised here, is financial inclusion a prerequisite for social inclusion? Financial inclusion vis-a-vis social inclusion. So as student of economics, I try to look at social inclusion also from that perspective. And when we talk of financial inclusion, it necessarily talks of including disadvantaged and low-income group people. So financial inclusion is definitely integral part of social inclusion. Indian scenario, as of now, financial inclusion in India, we are primarily focusing on to have a savings bank account, a no-frill saving bank account, that is it, for all without any discrimination. But internationally, financial inclusion has other parameters and other indicators which include maybe financial literacy, credit, provision of credit, insurance, and various other factors. The scenario, Indian scenario in terms of census 2011, it's 58.7% of households which have banking, their single bank account, so which is not a very good picture. So that is why it is very important that we do something about financial inclusion. Obviously new schemes, RBI, government, all working towards financial inclusion. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana is a major ambitious project towards financial inclusion, but the tagline here is it's an ambitious social upliftment program. So there also it is very much integrated. When we talk of financial inclusion, that the ultimate goal is maybe to include those sections of the marginalized sections of the society into the mainstream. The consequences of financial inclusion, so there are various important things that would result if there are a large section of the society who are excluded from the financial cover. But we are focusing in this paper primarily on social exclusion, which results from financial exclusion, and various facets of social exclusion, so banking. This again is another aspect to it before we actually go into what sort of social exclusion that can result if people are financially excluded. So it is in the nature, banking services are in the nature of public good. So it is the prime objective of public policy, especially in India, to provide this basic banking service to one and all. In financial inclusion, when we talk of social inclusion, empowerment, we talk of empowerment, and if we exclude people from having that basic banking service, then it leads to lack of identity, status and empowerment. So it is very important that people are brought under the cover of financial security, as a financial cover in the sense of giving them at least single no-frill saving banks account. Next, elimination of intermediaries is a natural consequence of financial inclusion. That is, people, if they're out of clutches of money lenders, through various other facilities which financial inclusion guarantees and promises, like affordable insurance, remittance facility, credit counseling, and most importantly financial literacy, which can be a major factor in social inclusion. So financial inclusion can lead to effective implementation of social programs and schemes. So like direct benefit transfers, NREGA, the benefits or the remuneration and cash transfer for in lieu of NREGA can also streamlined through if each and every people in our country have at least basic savings account. Micro insurance, unorganized sector pension schemes can also be streamlined through this, that is financial inclusion. So these are again just listing all the factors of social inclusion which can be facilitated through financial inclusion. Next, please. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And financial inclusion and social inclusion. And I think that financial inclusion may or may not lead to social inclusion. But it is, of course, an area which can be tested and tried for the purposes of social inclusion. And it will also be a secular kind of a technique and technology, because it will be free from caste and creed and religious kind of considerations. All right, now I invite Dr. Anima Vesh. Dr. Anima Vesh.
Namaskar. I am Dr. Anima Vesh from the Department of Economics, the IS University, and my topic of presentation is financial inclusion in India and assessment. Next. As far as the meaning of financial inclusion is considered, as per the Committee of Financial Inclusion that was chaired by Dr. C. Rangarajan, it is a process of ensuring access to financial services and timely and adequate credit to the vulnerable groups of the society. It is important because it broadens the resource base of the financial system, it protects the financial wealth and other resources of the low-income groups, and also prevents the exploitation of vulnerable groups by the money lenders. Next. Recognizing the need of better data to support the financial inclusion agenda, the World Bank's Development Research Group has constructed the Global Financial Inclusion Index, that is known as Global Findex, in April 2012, that measures how adults in 148 countries save, borrow, make payments and also manage the risk. This index shows that 50% of the adults have an account at a formal institution, 22% have savings at a formal institution, and 9% have taken loan from a formal institution. As per a study of state-wise index of financial inclusion, it reveals that in India, majority of states, they are at the lower base of the pyramid, that is, they are having a low level of financial institution. Only a very few have a high level of financial inclusion, and the All India level falls in the medium financial inclusion category. Besides this, in June 2013, CRISIL for the first time published a comprehensive financial inclusion index, which was called as INCLU6. It is based on 3 parameters. Branch penetration, which means the number of bank branches per 1 lakh population. Deposit penetration, which is the number of savings deposit accounts per 1 lakh population. And credit penetration, which is the number of agricultural advances per 1 lakh population. And this also has increased from 35.4 in March 2009 to 40.1 in March 2011. This shows an overall improvement in the financial inclusion in India. RBI has been taking a lot of initiatives for financial inclusion in India in the past, like nationalization of banks, creation of regional rural banks and cooperative banks. Besides this, some of the latest initiatives include basic saving bank deposit accounts, that is BSBD accounts, that accounts for no minimum balance. That means anybody which has zero balance can also open the account. Then secondly, relaxed and simplified KYC norms, that is know your customer norms. That means lessening of documentation, paperwork, and there is now no need of introduction in order to get your bank account opened. Then banks now have a simple branch authorization policy. In fact, in northeastern states, the banks can now open the branches without the permission of RBI. And besides this, banks should also have at least 25% of their branches in unbanked villages. And lastly, a lot of financial literacy centers have also been opened to facilitate financial inclusion. This table.
Going into these details, it could be better if you kindly give your conclusions
Sure,
about
sir.
the theme.
This table represents the financial inclusion progress that has been made in India. We can see that a lot of progress has been made, especially when the bank outlet villages have concerned. Almost they have increased by 4 times. The rural ATMs, they have increased at a compound annual growth rate of 30.6%, and the credit to micro and small and medium enterprises has also increased by 31.4%. Next, a lot of new schemes, like they have already been mentioned, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana has been introduced. Next, at the state level, Bhabasha scheme for women empowerment has been introduced. As a conclusion, I would say that a lot of progress has been made, but still a lot requires to be done. Some of the suggestions are that trained correspondents should be employed in villages for promoting financial inclusion program. Biometric cards can be introduced for security transactions. And lastly, financial inclusion, it requires a comprehensive efforts on 3 parts, that is RBI, banks as well as general public. Thanks. I end my presentation with this.
For financial inclusion and its linkage with social inclusion. And I believe that such studies would definitely go a long way in providing some kind of understanding and also policy inputs if they are carried further in details. Particularly the review and assessment of such policies. Merely descriptions perhaps may not help us as much as the kind of providing analytical supports to what is happening. So case studies could be much better. Now I invite Dr. Ruchi Goswami.
Respected Chairperson, sir, and the present dignitaries over here. This is Dr. Ruchi Goswami from the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication. The title of my paper is The Role of Media in the Coverage of Developmental Issues in the State of Rajasthan. Media is a reflection of society, media is power. Media is known as a watchdog of the democracy. Hence, media in the form of print, electronic, traditional or online leaves an everlasting impact on the social beings. Media has a power to bring about a change since decades. It is a social responsibility of media to bring about the issues into limelight so that the people are aware about the society they are living in and act in a positive as well as optimistic manner to bring development in various spheres of the society. It is media which apprises the general public that it is developing. It is thus evident that the various development issues are being covered and uncovered by the media at times. In a state like Rajasthan, the media has been playing a vital role in unveiling the issues before the general public. On the contrary, the media, in the shape of readers, listeners and the viewers, are fully dependent on one or the other media for accessing relevant information. Media in Rajasthan has been very much active in the coverage of the issues like MG Narega, various campaigns regarding health and sanitation, child education, self-employment schemes of the government, as well as the coverage of the programs run by non-governmental organizations. Moreover, media today is not only concerned with the coverage of the various issues, but also taking up social responsibility projects in collaboration with private bodies. Also, the channels like NDTV and CNN IBN have started rewarding general public for their contribution towards the society in their respective fields. This paper discusses is how media as a powerful tool can help in building a gap between the social exclusion and the social inclusion. Also discusses how media plays a vital role in disseminating correct and concrete information to the public, and how this fourth pillar of democracy serves its responsibility towards building and informed citizenry. I would like to quote Rajasthan is producing some broadsheets like Rajasthan Patrika, Dainik Bhaskar, Dainik Navjyoti, Samachar Jagat, Prahtekal, Rashtradoot, and other papers like Desh Ki Dharti, Jan Nayak, which reach the urban as well as the rural areas. Local magazines like Mumal, Manav, Mera Rajasthan are again playing an important role in distributing local information with preserving Rajasthani language. According to a research study conducted in Rajasthan, even today farmers of the semi-arid Rajasthan are yet mostly using traditional media of mass communication. The need of the hour is to make them utilize the more and more of the modern mass media of the communication and with traditional media to get the latest and varied information with the aspects of modern agriculture and animal husbandry. I would quote some examples over here covered by the various covered by the print media as well as the electronic media. Sarkar Aapke Dwar campaign of the government is widely covered by the media, by the print as well as electronic media in Rajasthan, covering the development projects and programs. Dainik Bhaskar recently on 11th and 12th September published a story unveiling the terrible condition of labour rooms in the government hospital of the Chomo district. The story was an eye-breaker and provoked the concerned officials to take immediate action. Moreover, as a part of the social responsibility project, recently Dainik Bhaskar in collaboration with Hindustan Zinc have launched Sakhi Puraskar 2014 for the rural women running small industries. Under RTE Development Communication and Social Campaign Division of Rajasthan Patrika created a revolution not only in Rajasthan but in other 4 states also. Through this campaign, a big number of poor children took admissions in the schools in all over Rajasthan. Moreover, a campaign Jago Janmat by Patrika is an effort to provoke all the young Indians to vote. Adding to this, Dainik Navjyoti today published an exclusive editorial story on the serious issue of child labour and talked about the measures to combat with this problem as soon as possible. On the contrary, media not only portrays the developmental issues but also unveils the loopholes in the administration at a very large level. Media also talks about the problems faced by the public as and when needed. Disimplementation of RTE, anti-Narega, midday meal scheme of the government and many other projects got spaces on the front pages of the broadsheets in Rajasthan. Moreover, recently, Development Communication Division of Doordarshan has started producing programs on various subjects like health, child protection, education, even rural development. To conclude, I would like to state that media today is capable in furnishing its responsibility towards social inclusion. It has a part to lead towards a happier and healthier and developed society to live in. Thanks.
In the field of social inclusion, is it really working? Is the major issue. Now I request Dr. Poonam Sharma.
Well, I'll exactly stick to the time, sir, because I've just going to present a summary of what of the paper. Yes, I'm going to be speaking on women empowerment and social inclusion in the changing India. The woman victim of subordination, lower status and sense of exploitation has been completing her journey through a zigzag fashion since time immemorial. She has been a vital part of conceptual social authority and the change in the trends of civilization. The part of prime fundamental setup of the womanhood in the early civilizations was with very high rank, which was based on dignity, need, and style of the sociological approach. It was deeply thought in the time that all-round development of society and interrelated virtues of human being, human personality depended on the understanding of united endeavors of both the genders. This ideology of equality developed as the result of natural development of human mental rage, which has been ever growing to find new fields of satisfaction. This period associated with the glory of women lasted under the new setup of social structure in the form of construction of family as a survival unit, where the male is the head of the family. The man sector seemed to be agreed on the view that women are an oppressed group and needed to be uplifted to the satisfaction of human conscience. This changed atmosphere of mental analysis was directly or indirectly responsible for the rising of awakening level, which we evidence in the form of various women movements all over the world, and which offered a wide range of feminist critique of society. Due to the history, we observe the fact that only in the last 200 years of global civilization has the idea of women, the idea that women should have equal rights with men have been given a serious consideration. The series of efforts made for the rise of women have brought about a new relationship between women and men, and more importantly between women and development. The developing networks and wide-range cooperation are involving women in development of the society. The women are on the path of ever-growing dynamic energy and holding truly the banner of empowerment in their strong hands. To conclude, I would just like to say that despite the progress war of inequality, discrimination, violence and unempowerment, it is continuous. Our final achievement has to travel a long way, and women have to continue their fight in carving her path. I would like to end by saying, do not belittle by sympathizing with women. They are one of us, therefore we need to empower them with dignity. Thank you.
In fact, the issue of women empowerment for social inclusion has been a subject of the agenda of not only the governments but also the civil society institutions. But I believe that until unless women themselves are interested in their empowerment, something tangible may not be coming as we expect. Now I request Ms. Hiral Mehta.
Good afternoon, everyone. This paper presents the relationship between development, transformation and inequalities in Indian society and about women empowerment and gender equality. The basic aspect of any society is development. Development is defined as the process of enlarging the choices for all people, not just one part of society. Such a process becomes unjust and discriminatory if the women are excluded from its benefits. Development and transformation can only be done in its true means, that is through gender equality. But the reality is something else. It is assumed that development is gender neutral, that is, both men and women are equally benefited from the development. It is a myth. In no society, women enjoy the same opportunities as men. Every country, especially like India, has made progress in developing women's capabilities, but women and men still live in unequal world. Still a society exists where the status of women is low and her economic contributions are not valued at all. Women's subordinate status is reflected in almost all spheres in India. Sex ratio is quite low. Proper nutrition is not available, which affects the health and fertility rate of the women. India is still a home of largest illiterate female population of the world. Women are underrepresented in governance and in decision-making process. Women face violence inside and outside their homes. Though the Constitution of India guarantees certain rights and laws with the principles of non-discrimination on the grounds of sex, but effective and efficient plans and policies should be carried out which makes the women empowered. Certain key strategies that should be applied are creating an enabling environment for the development of women and realization to their full potential, ensuring equal access to women to public services, public offices and decision making in all aspects, changing in the societal attitudes,
eliminating discrimination and all forms of violence against women and the girl child, building and strengthening of women organizations. For the empowerment of women, there should be social empowerment, that is easy and equal access to all the basic minimum services, economic empowerment, provision of training, employment and economic generation activities with the object of making all women economically independent and self-reliant. Gender justice, elimination of all forms of gender discrimination to ensure protection of fundamental rights of women. Therefore, if our society wants to become a developed and a transformed one, the primary importance should be given to women empowerment and gender equality. Inequalities can only be removed when the true and correct transformation takes place in a society, and this leads to development in true sense. Where the women are free and not tied to the shackles of orthodoxy and conservatism. So, I give you a question in front of everybody that are we actually developed and transformed? We can just see in our society. Thank you.
Thank you.
My topic is poverty and social exclusion in India. India, a developing country with much economic growth and advancements. However, still it lacks in many aspects. One of those aspects is poverty. The problem of poverty is considered as the biggest challenge to development planning in India. If a person stands in a society today, first thing they are judged upon their social background. If the social background is poor, then people formulate many negative stereotypes about their person. The main causes of poverty are illiteracy, caste system, gender inequality, decline of village industries, housing, etc. Elite class thinks that the poor people are lethargic, inefficient and burden on the society. Although the government has taken the initiative to eradicate poverty by making various plans and schemes, but still the poverty is increasing. It is only through education that we can remove the cause, because due to poverty and illiteracy, people are socially excluded. Farmers who are living below the poverty line should be educated about the new advancements in the agriculture field. And today's youth should take initiatives and build educational institutes in which children who are unable to acquire education can also be educated. Also, the government should organize such programs so that the parents would also be aware of the value of education and also be aware of the advancements. As a human being and citizen of India, it is our collective responsibility to make a steady efforts to remove poverty and try to make lives of people a little better, so that they can gain their self-confidence and live a respectable life in the society. Thank you. Sir.
Time is back by saying, so many restrictions are imposed on me. Equality is when no fear will torture me. On the road, there'll be no gazing eyes and bad intentions. You are a girl. By hearing this, I won't have to compromise. Equality is when my good and bad I can decide. Only judicial laws can't give me right of equality. There is a need of changing the narrow mentality. With these lines, I, Salma Khan, say you all a very solemn and pleasant good afternoon. My topic for the seminar is gender bias. Gender bias. The fact is that people are treated differently depending on their gender. Gender bias is so deeply ingrained in the system that the discrimination begins from the time a couple plans a baby. If a girl plays cricket, she is labelled a tomboy, and if a boy starts crying, he is said, "Stop acting like a girl." Some fathers would say, "I want my daughter to be home by 8. It's not that I don't trust her, she will do something wrong, but I don't want people to say anything wrong about my daughter." But for my son, the case is different because boys are after all boys. We sometimes gloat over the fact that so many women of our country have got the title of Miss India. Then it seems we have women all the way when we recall how many women trounced men in Delhi, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan during the assembly elections held toward the end of 2003, and these were the women who became the chief ministers of these states. This, however, is misleading. We cannot forget that thousands, maybe millions of women all over India are being exploited daily in the form of eve-teasing, molestation, physical operation, mental trauma, discrimination on several counts, etc. Who is responsible for this situation? No, it's not the government, it's not the society. It is we as individuals who must realize and take actions against it. In the rural area, still people would say, why send a girl to school? She was going to take care of the husband and family. No one have the right to tag a girl and force her not to see dreams. Fulfilling them lies in another part of the story. Rape cases, domestic violence, acid attack, eve teasing, what all is not a girl facing? And reason is, she is a girl. If she speaks in front of a boy eve teasing, he will throw acid. If a girl refuses marriage proposal, he will rape her. If a girl is not well and can't cook, she'll face violence. And reason is, she is a girl. Killing a girl in womb is not a practice to be continued, ladies and gentlemen. Leaving a girl born at railway tracks is something that must not be tolerated. Going out on roads after a rape, protesting after a death in violence, and making news of attack is not the solution. Solution is change in the thinking pattern of every individual, law implementation by the government, support of the government officials, participation of the society. And these changes not for weeks or months, my dear friends, it is for lifetime, it should be a part of our lifestyle. Because one individual can really make a difference. I would like to conclude by saying few lines. बेटी का क्यों अपमान करो, क्यों तुम उस पर अत्याचार करो, जीवन देती बेटी क्यों पीड़ा सहती है, क्यों नहीं सब उसका सम्मान करो, आओ हम सब आगे आए, देश की हर बेटी को भय मुक्त कराएं. Thank you, have a good day ahead.
Thank you. I think you're right that social inclusion is more a matter of mind than of merely law. And it is the question of attitude and culture which can really go a long way in deciding the status of social inclusion. Thank you so much. Now I invite Ms. Purti.
Namaskar everyone, I'm Purti Chaturvedi from Department of Geography, IIS University. My topic is Social Inequality Dynamics, a case study of Chawandia, Tilora and Ganahira villages of Ajmer. I'll be omitting the introduction because it's been 2 days we are discussing about social inequality. My paper discusses social inequality on the basis of caste. The study area, next. The study area are the 3 villages, Tilora, Chawandia and Ganahira of Pesangan Tehsil of Ajmer. Next. These were the sample survey done of 198 households, out of which that was the total of 1731 people. And this is the detail of the social group. General category has the highest proportion, followed by OBC, SCs and STs. Next. The objectives definitely are to evaluate the inequalities on the basis of caste, and here I am talking about the scheduled caste in India. And second being the spatial arrangement and spatial differentiation in terms of social inequality and what there are spatial inequalities leading to cause and effect of social inequality. These are the indicators taken to show the inequalities. Next. First, educational attainment. In terms of education, all the 3 categories of OBC, SCs and general category, they have inclination towards primary education, but as the ladder increases, as education increases, the level SCs, OBCs lag behind the general population still in the 3 villages. Next, this is the village part. Tilora has the highest diversity in terms of scheduled caste education, which is the lagging behind. This scenario is a bit better in the Ganahira and Chawandia. Next. In terms of occupation, social group, there persists a mixed picture when a majority of general population is wage earners and Narega workers are more in SC population. Similarly, the SC population highest share of cultivators. The next, in village scenario, Ganahira and Tilora has SC population with highest share of salaried and cultivators, which gives a general picture of the area. Chawandia has highest SC share in terms of salaried people. That is a good development, or good indicator which shows that people are engaged in salaried or wage employments. Next. This is land possession. That is what is the scenario of people holding lands. Land possession varies markedly across social groups. While the OBC have the highest share of landowners, the scheduled castes have the lowest share. Next. The SC population are backward in all the three villages in terms of land holdings in comparison with the other caste. Tilora has the highest disparity from all the three villages. Next. This is primary source of cooking. General population has the highest source of the modern LPG cooking source, while SC population still lags behind and is dependent on fuel wood and kerosene. In terms of villages, the inequality across the social group is most pronounced in again Tilora, which is relatively low in Chavandia and Ganahira. The condition of SC population is better in Ganahira, followed by Chavandia and Tilora. Economic status by PDS categories. The economic inequality is clearly visible across the social groups, as the highest share of SCs come under the BPL category, while only 20% general population is under BPL and 40% of SCs are below poverty line. General and OBC difference is not pronounced, but the disparity between general OBC to SC is high. Next. Village-wise, and next indicator is expenditure. Expenditure again, that is general has more people or more families in the higher income group, followed and SCs have the higher proportion in lower income group. Next. Next. Now this is the second objective, that how geography plays an important role in dealing with the spatial inequality and social inequality. It is a clear pattern of spatial segregation is seen in all the villages as the Rajputs live on the highest areas of village, while the Gujars on the outskirts of Rajput dwellings. The dwellings of SCs are still and Muslims are still at the lower terrains and near the main road. That is at the lower level, lower topographic division. I would like to conclude that in most of the aspects, SC population still, after 60 years of independence and constitutions and laws made, SC population lags behind with a high level of inequality, which is most clearly seen in terms of inequality of education, land possession, primary source of cooking, economic status by PDS, expenditure, assets possession, etc. The village level picture shows that Tilora still has a wide variation and diversity of large variation of inequality in the villages. The highest level of inequality persists across all the indicators. The SC population is worst off in Tilora. Social inequality is both a cause and effect of other types of inequalities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Putte, for again raising the issue of caste-based discriminations, and please present your conclusions.
नमस्ते सर, नृत्यलाल योगी, हिंदी विभाग, राजस्थान विश्वविद्यालय जयपुर, सक्सेस स्टूडेंट। भारत में सामाजिक व्यवस्था को देखें, इतिहास 4000 वर्ष से भी पहले आरंभ होता है। आज जो भारतीय समाज का स्वरूप है, जटिलताओं विरोधाओं से भरा हुआ है। एक और वह अपने आध्यात्मिक छवि सुरक्षा के सचेत रहता है, दूसरी ओर भौतिक संसाधन प्राप्ति उसकी आकांक्षा उतनी प्रबल है। एक और वह वैज्ञानिक मानसिकता पर बल देता है, दूसरी ओर अपनी सभी चमत्कारों और अन्य घटनाओं में उसका आस्था बनी हुई है। इसी प्रकार एक और यहाँ संविधान तक मनुष्य की समानता की बात करता है, दूसरी ओर समाज में भारतीय भेदभाव के सरकारी स्तर पर वह अपने प्रचलित है। इन सारी विरोधाभासक विश्लेषण बहुत ही सहज नहीं है, परंतु इसमें भारतीय समाज के विकास में जटिलताओं को अवश्य में जा सकता है। इसमें नंबर 1, जनसंख्या वृद्धि। जनसंख्या की सीमित संख्या हमारे देश की अर्थव्यवस्था बिगड़ गई। विभिन्न विकास योजना
माफ कीजिएगा, धीरे धीरे अगर आप प्रेजेंट करेंगे और कंक्लूजन देंगे तो ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा।
जी सर। प्रत्येक व्यक्ति बिना किसी भी धार्मिक भेदभाव के परिवार में प्राथमिक देगा, तभी जनसंख्या वृद्धि पर अंकुश लग सकता है। निरक्षरता समाज में अज्ञान और अंधकार का प्रतीक है, जो समाज और राष्ट्र निरक्षरता नागरिक से रहित है, जिसमें निरक्षरता नहीं है और सर्वत्र ज्ञान का प्रकाश फैला हुआ है। वह भारत समाज तथा राष्ट्र सब प्रकार से उन्नत मान जाता है। निरक्षरता मानव समाज पर एक कलंक है, यह मानवता के लिए एक अभिशाप है। इस अभिशाप से मुक्ति आवश्यक और यह कार्य साक्षरता के आलोक से प्रकाश हो सकता है। गरीबी बेरोजगारी। राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी ने इस कथन को कहा है कि हमें अपनी सभी उपलब्धियों को गरीबों के तौर ऐसे जोड़कर देखना नहीं चाहिए। किसी भी कार्य को करने से पूर्व हमें अवश्य विचार कर लेना चाहिए कि गरीबों के लिए यह लाभकारी है अथवा नहीं। इस प्रकार के उपाय करने पर रोजगार के व्यक्ति साधनों पर केवल अंकुश लगाया जा सकता है, किंतु रोजगार सुलभ होने में परेशानी नहीं रहेगी। बेरोजगारी समस्या के समाधान सरकार गैर सरकारी सभी स्तरों पर प्रयास करने से ही हो सकता है। उच्च उपाय करने पर रोजगार के साधनों में वृद्धि निश्चित हो सकती है। कामकाजी महिलाओं की समस्याएं, स्त्रियों पर हावी होने वाली पुरुषों अहंकार वृत्ति को पुरानी अवधारणा महिलाओं को उनके कार्यस्थल पर विशेष बाधाएं पहुंचाती। विकास की प्रगति के उच्चतर बिंदु पर महिला पुरुषों की तुलना पर निपटने पर दक्षता अपना सोपान बनाने में सफल हुई है। लिंग भेद के संदर्भ में विडंबना यह है कि उच्चतर विकास बिंदु पर पुरुष सहकर्मी पुरुष अधिकारी तुलना में महिला अधिकारी से अधिक विशेष ज्ञाता एवं निपुणता की अपेक्षा रखते हैं। कन्या भ्रूण हत्या, भारतीय मध्यम वर्ग समाज में कन्या जन्म को अमंगलकारी माना जाता है, क्योंकि कन्या को पाल पोस कर शिक्षित से बनाकर उसको विवाह करना पड़ता है। इस नियमित काफी धनव्य हो जाता है। विशेषकर विवाह में दहेज आदि कम मुसीबतें आ जाती है। कन्या को पराधन मानते हैं, क्योंकि पुत्री को ही कुल परंपरा बढ़ाने वाला तथा वृद्ध अवस्था का साधन मानकर कुछ लोग कन्या जन्म का शुभ मानते हैं। वर्तमान लिंग चयन एवं लिंग अनुपात पेशा पर काफी चिंतन किया जा रहा है। संयुक्त राष्ट्र संघ में कन्या संरक्षण के लिए घोषणा की गई है। भारत सरकार ने भी लिंग अनुपात को ध्यान में रखकर कन्या भ्रूण हत्या पर कठोर प्रतिबंध लगा दिया है। वस्तु कन्या भ्रूण हत्या के कृत्य पूरी तरह समाप्त होना चाहिए। थैंक यू।
विद्वान गण एवं विद्वान मनुष्य, मेघराज मेरा शोधार्थी रामेश्वर देवी, राजकीय स्नातकोत्तर कन्या महाविद्यालय भरतपुर। भारत में सामाजिक व्यवस्था के उदय का इतिहास 4000 वर्ष से भी पहले प्रारंभ होता है। आज जो भारतीय समाज का स्वरूप है वह जटिलता और विरोधाभासों से भरा हुआ है। बाल विवाह संस्कार में कन्यादान पवित्र मांगलिक कार्य माना जाता है। इस अवसर पर कन्या के माता पिता अपनी सामर्थ्य के अनुसार कन्या को कुछ उपहार भी देते हैं। यह प्रथा उत्तरोत्तर विकृत होती रही है। फलस्वरूप लोग कन्या को उपहार मानने लगे तथा बालपन में ही उसका विवाह करवाकर अपने कर्तव्यों से मुक्त होने लगे। परंतु इस गलत परंपरा से समाज में अनेक समस्याओं का जन्म हुआ। बचपन में ही विवाह हो जाने से कम उम्र में संतान उत्पत्ति होने लगती है और जनसंख्या की असीमित वृद्धि तथा निम्न वर्ग के जीवन स्तर में उत्तरोत्तर गिरावट का एक कारण नहीं है। इन सब बुराइयों को देखने से बाल विवाह हमारे समाज के लिए एक अभिशाप भी है। अगला जीवन तेरी यही कहानी, चल हो दूध और आंखों में पानी, ये मैत्री सेनगुप्त की प्रसिद्ध काव्यपंक्तियां आज की नारी पर पूर्ण रूप से उतरती है। इन सब बुराइयों को देखने से बाल विवाह हमारे समाज के लिए एक अभिशाप है। इन समस्या का निवारण जन जागरण से संभव है। सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के निर्देश अनुसार अब विवाह का पंजीकरण कराना कानूनी अनिवार्य हो गया है। इससे भी हम बाल विवाह पर रोक लगा सकती है। बाल विवाह रोकने और भी कठोर उपाय सरकार द्वारा किए चाहिए और समाज सुधारकों को इस दिशा में भरसक प्रयास करना चाहिए। दहेज प्रथा, इस प्रथा के कारण कन्या व उसके माता पिता को अनेक ऐसा यातनाएं भोगनी पड़ रही है। आज का युवा वर्ग मानवीय दृष्टिकोण अपनाना चाहता है, परंतु कुछ तो अपने लालची माता पिता का विरोध नहीं कर पाते और कुछ लोग शादी का रिश्ता तय करते समय सुधारवादी बनने का ढोंग रखते हैं। यातनाएं भी दी जाती है, कई बार उसे मार दिया जाता है। इनमें बहू को जलाकर मार डालने का प्रतिशत अधिक होता है। ससुराल में जब जुल्मों की हद हो जाती है तो मुक्ति पाने के लिए आत्महत्या करने को विवश हो जाती है नारियां। सन 1983 में दहेज से संबंधित नए कानून प्रस्तावित किए गए। इसके अनुसार जो दहेज के लालच में युवती को आत्महत्या के लिए विवश करे उस व्यक्ति को भी दंडित किया जाए। सरकार इस प्रथा के उन्मूलन के लिए संचेत तथा कुछ समावेशी सामाजिक संगठन भी इस समस्या के उन्मूलन का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। थैंक यू सर।
Friends, now the presentations are over. If anyone wants to make any comments or observations, he or she is most welcome.
Is equitable growth necessarily an oxymoron, or they can be compatible, equitable and growth?
As I mentioned to you that the diverging inequalities and growth is a recent phenomenon, and if you look at the period from 1940 to 1970, in US you have increasing equality, that is one. You have also had periods you have had the socialist economies which had growth with equality. Even if you look at the other economies, you have Swedish economies or Norwegian economies. They have had more equality. Again, Japanese among the OECD countries is more equal. So you have a whole host of possibilities which are there. So obviously you can have growth and equality because of the diversity patterns over time and over countries. So it is possible and it has happened.
Any other question? All right, friends, we had a very good session on a very important theme of neoliberalism, development, inequality and social inclusion. Professor Banerjee delivered a very not only informative but a very enriching kind of a talk dealing with the evolution, the progress, the impact, both positive and negative, of neoliberalism on social inclusion, including inequalities, the role of the state he analyzed, whether the state should continue to play a role as it was playing or there is a need to redefine the role. In fact, even neoliberalism, to my mind, sir, if I understand correctly, does not rule out the role of the state. It does not talk of the rollback of the state. It talks of reinvention of the state. It talks of reinventing the government. And perhaps we intellectuals have an onerous duty to analyze whether the ailments of the public sector, the ailments of the state, are they absent in the private sector? Corruption, inefficiency, unresponsiveness, are they peculiar to the public sector or they are equally present, rather more present in the private sector? Whenever it comes to the questions of the people's problems, I think private sector is behaving no different as compared to the public sector. At the same time, it is also true that public sector has suffered from large number of dysfunctionalities. And it is these dysfunctionalities which has led to the problems of reorienting our thoughts and strategies, which have created many problems of inclusion and exclusion. I think it was a very thoughtful kind of a session. It was an analytical session, and I compliment the presenters. My special compliments to Professor Banerjee, who placed the entire issue in the proper perspective. Thank you so much.
Next to forget, a token of our remembrance, I request Professor Nisha Yadav to represent a token of our gratitude to Professor Rajveer Sharma. I now request Professor Rajveer Sharma for the valedictory address.
Thank you, Jen. My distinguished fellow colleagues on the dais, and my dear students. It's a matter of great privilege for me to be with you this evening, and I am thankful to IIS University for providing me this opportunity to interact on a subject of a very current relevance. I am sure for the last 2 days, the subject of contemporary Indian society and social inclusion, challenges and opportunities must have been theoretically as well as from the point of view of practice must have been thoroughly examined. But today's attendance here of mine in the deliberations gave me the impression as if social inclusion has to be seen only in terms of social exclusion. Most of the speakers who spoke about the theme, they focused on social exclusion. It means that social inclusion, the concept of social inclusion, is implied in social exclusion. It has no separate, independent meaning or relevance. But I think that it would be rather erroneous to see it only as an implied part of social exclusion. For me, I think social inclusion is the basis through which we can analyze and understand social exclusion. And it's a value-oriented concept. Social inclusion itself is a value-oriented concept, focusing mostly on, as I understand it, maybe I am wrong, on the values of equality, justice, freedom. Social inclusion implies these values, and therefore it is a struggle for achieving equality, justice and freedom by those who are deprived of them. And it is the effort of the policymakers, the state, the civil society, and all those who are concerned with social inclusion to fight for it, that everyone should have a society that belongs to all. We should have a social living without much fear, discrimination, separation, oppression, suppression is the idea behind social inclusion. In fact, social inclusion concept is a recent phenomenon. Most of us have been fighting against poverty. The economists, the sociologists, the political scientists, the public administrators, the bureaucrats, politicians, everyone have been contesting and fighting to alleviate poverty, to understand the causes of poverty, nature of poverty, what causes poverty, how to eliminate poverty. But this concept was mainly visualized in terms of economic inclusion. That poverty in fact was an economic concept mainly addressed by the economists. Social inclusion is a much broader concept which goes beyond economic concept of concerns or economic concerns or poverty alone. Social inclusion has multiple dimensions, and I hope that many of you, because I was hearing even today that many of you were raising several other dimensions, social dimension, political dimension, cultural dimension, economic dimension of social inclusion, and also the dimensions of gender, caste, etc., etc. But friends, sometimes I wonder whether we intellectuals are really addressing the root of the problem. When we are talking of, for example, the gender injustice or gender inequality, are we addressing it only as a general phenomena in our society? Because I feel that even within women, there are inequalities, there are injustices. And whenever we talk of those inequalities within women, belonging to several castes, religions, creeds, then we bring in politics of religion, secularism, communalism, religion. For quite a long time, our framers of the Constitution, for example, were very conscious that gender justice cannot be achieved by segregating women into categories. Muslim, Christian, Hindu. Women should be treated as women. So social inclusion is not merely the inclusion of one section of women. It's the inclusion of all women belonging to whatever religion they do belong to. But whenever we talk of uniform civil code, for example, then the opposition comes from women themselves, or the people who want to see that issue not in terms of gender injustice, but then they say it is a question of our personal religious freedom and you are trying to interfere in that area. So how to bring about it? Our research, in fact, should orient towards that kind of issue. One of the speakers today was talking about the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Is it merely the question of general castes, the higher caste versus the lower caste inclusion issue? Many of the lower castes and the scheduled castes itself are suffering the question of social inclusion within. There are so many castes within the scheduled castes. There are so many scheduled tribes within the scheduled tribes. Are they really homogeneous? Is that heterogeneity which is prevailing amongst those castes, is it being really addressed? Or there is also a question of dominance. There is also a question of power. Within the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes also, there are a dominant caste, the powerful caste, and therefore the problem of social exclusion there itself, within the caste, within the same group of castes, which we term as the socially excluded castes, within those socially excluded castes also, there is social exclusion. Therefore, the universities, the colleges, the educational research institutions have a role to bring out that issue whether there is a social inclusion, whether all sections of the scheduled caste have equal access to freedom, equality, justice, or do they have some kind of the equal treatment, the kind of the feeling that we are all one within that caste? Leave aside the higher caste or the lower caste dichotomy, but do they really feel themselves to be one? Culturally, emotionally, professionally? If that is not, then we shall have to readdress our policies of social inclusion, and also we will have to redefine the issue of social exclusion, the concept of social exclusion also. I made a very stray remark on one of the presentations whether women are really prepared to be empowered. Because we have so many laws, but laws without the support of those for whom they are meant to be included in the mainstream will not succeed. So therefore, that is another issue which I wanted to raise before this August audience. So far as India is concerned, I would like to draw your attention to 2 or 3 other points. One, the framers of the Constitution were very much conscious of the inequalities and injustices in Indian society. And therefore, they framed a constitution in such a way that the questions of social inclusion and or exclusion could be effectively addressed by using the instrumentality of the constitution. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Whether we talk of fundamental rights or we talk of the directive principle state policy, both of them indicate the kind of the futuristic vision of the framers of India's constitution to the issue of social inclusion or what we call social exclusion. It did not happen. Equality before law, equal protection of law has not taken place. Why is it not taking place is again a big question that has been answered by a number of scholars. There could be poverty one issue, there could be educational backwardness, there could be cultural kind of backwardness. So many issues are there. We are good at grasping, diagnosing the problem. डिजीज को डायग्नोज करने में हमको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, लेकिन डिजीज को ठीक कैसे करें, दैट इज द ग्रेटेस्ट चैलेंज. Diagnosis will not work unless we provide a remedy, and the remedy lies with the individual. Remedy lies with the reorientation of the attitude. I talked about Salman Khan, that it is basically the cultural issue, and therefore there has to be some kind of a cultural change along with the support to economic support or the administrative support to the deprived sections of the society. What other approaches we have adopted in India? What are the strategies? It is not that India has not done anything on the issue of social inclusion or social problem of social exclusion after independence. It would be a very wrong conclusion if somebody draws that conclusion. Right since 1980s, and more so from the 1990s, we have focused on the problems of social inclusion through the plans. We have introduced the concepts of inclusive growth and so on, and inclusive development. The entire approach paper, if you read of 12th plan, even 11th plan, they contain the basic philosophy and approach and strategies to achieve the goal of social inclusion in our country. Legislative responses the state has given. So many laws have been provided in favor of the labor, in favor of the child, in favor of the handicapped, in favor of the senior citizens. अभी मॉर्निंग में एक कैटेगरी ये भी एक्सक्लूडेड की आई थी, that our older people, the senior citizens, has been added to the new category of the excluded people. The state has responded to that issue, that they should not remain the excluded kind of a section by passing a law and making it a responsibility under law to take care of the aged. by the capable children. Right enough.